Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how to set up some basic things like shipping, payments, and then your languages and taxes. So let's come over here and start with your shipping. So we're going to go to let's do preferences first here. Let's set up our preferences. And you can install special modules, different like USPS, UPS, depending on what your default carriers are. If you want, dynamic rate calculations, you're going to have to most likely pay for an additional module to do that. But we're going to go through here and say handling charges. I'm not going to add an additional handling charge. Free shipping starts at, so say you want to, every order over $100 is free freight. That's where you type it over here. And then this is by weight. Okay, so this is by dollar, this is by weight. So say free, say if you buy over 100 pounds of food from us, you get free shipping. That's where you can set that here. Okay. But I just leave those all blank. We'll go and save this sucker. And then let's go to our carriers. Okay, so this one's got, in-store pickup. These are default. These automatically, when you install the store, pop up. Okay, pickup in store, as you can notice, free freight is turned on. But if you're a web-only store, you might not have a location and you don't want someone coming to pick up. So I'm getting rid of that. Okay, and then let's just go in here and edit this one that says my carrier. And we're just going to change it. We're going to say USPS priority mail. Say it's 2 to 5 days. Speed grade, you can if you have UPS is going to be slower than FedEx. You can say, well, FedEx is speed grade 1, UPS is speed grade 5 or whatever. Come over here and pick a logo. Let's see if I can find a logo here real quick. Sorry, I had to search for it. So I went ahead and grabbed the USPS logo and then the tracking URL. So if you don't know what that is, I just go to Google and type in pull a little tab over here and let's go USPS tracking URL. And you typically can find what URL can you use to track with. And there we go. We're going to grab this little URL. I only want to the equal signs because then it says this is where you put your tracking number. Okay. I'm going to copy that. Let's pull open our store again. We're going to pop that in, and then it says make sure to add the @ symbol where you want your tracking URL to be placed. So then we're going to go next. Add handling costs. So if you have a handling cost in our parameters where we set before, but you don't want it on this, you can change it here. I want to set it to no even though I turn it off. And I'm going to bill according to, you can do according to total price or according to total weight. So depending on how your store is set up, you can do either or. Do you charge tax? Does your state or wherever you're at charge tax on freight? We're going to say no. And then it says out of range behavior. So say you're based on total price and our price is up to $10,000. Well, if they buy $20,000, then it's able to supply the highest rate. Okay. Well, we're not going to ship to Europe. We're just going to ship to North America, and we're going to charge, for up to, let's say up to $50. We're going to charge, say, $6 to ship it. Okay, we're going to add a new range. Anything over $50 to whatever you want to put, say, to $1,000. If it goes over this, it doesn't matter because it's just going to apply it anyways. Up to $1,000, we're going to say I want to charge $26 for freight. And you got as many ranges. You can do it by weight. You can do whatever you want, but that's just kind of an example. Okay, and you can do multiple carriers. What I do is, if you're doing international, only do a North America by itself. Do a new carrier. Instead of calling it what we did, UPS Priority, say USPS International or Priority International, whatever, and then select your other countries that you ship to. Then we'll go to next, And then this just says, well, do you want to restrict to which customers, and what's the maximum biggest package you can do and the maximum weight. And this is still set to kilograms and centimeters, which we'll switch. We should have actually done that in the previous video, but we'll switch this to pounds and inches. Then we'll go next. And then this is just a review and turn it on, and we're going to say yes, finish. I want this carrier. Okay, so there we got USPS Mail. There's the logo. It takes 2 to 5 days, and it's not a free shipping. It doesn't default by free shipping. You can still offer free shipping under preferences. Okay, so now that's carriers all set up, and you're good to go. And then we're going to go to payments and just look at the payments here. Let's go to preferences. Okay, so this is different for 1.7. They separated this. Normally it's all on one page. So you have payments by check, payments by wire. You can change which payment gateways you're going to allow. If you have, Stripe, Authorized.net, PayPal, whatever, you can come in here and say, I'm only going to allow US dollars. I'm not going to allow visitors to use this one. They have to register with me to be able to send me a check. And then you can also restrict by country. So maybe this payment module only works in X country, the United States. And then you can come down here and do carrier restrictions and say, if we're shipping by this method, you can only pay by this method. Okay, so there is those preferences, and then we're going to go over here to payment methods. Like I said, they've separated this. It used to be just one long page for all of that. So by default, they've got wire payment and payment by check turned on. I don't use it typically unless you have, you're that type of company. But most e-commerce, you're not going to want this. You're going to want something like Stripe, Amazon. You can do cash on delivery for some people might interested in that. They also have bank wire payments by check. These are older versions. I believe this is the newer ones for 1.7. You might want to turn on, install Amazon Payments. Amazon Payments is free, and they can log in with their Amazon account and use any of their Amazon credit cards to check out. You just have to pay merchant service. They don't have like a monthly subscription like Stripe does, but you have to buy the Stripe module. This one's expensive. You can find cheaper ones, by the way. This is way expensive. You can find them for typically about $50. And anyway, so Amazon and Stripe, depending on what your needs are, if you're just trying to save money, just go with Amazon, and just click over here and say install it. And there's hundreds, depending on what your payment gateways. If you already have some set up, go find the module that fits yours. Okay, so with Amazon, they have a little code you can pop in your parse data, and it'll set most of this up for you. You can go through here and set your different settings, yada yada yada. Just note that with Amazon Payment, Stripe, anything like that, you're gonna have to have a security license and SSL installed, or else it just won't be secure and you're going to run into problems. A lot of the modules have a check, and they won't even let you use it unless you have the SSL installed. Okay, so there's your payments, and that's kind of really depending on. There's not a lot more I can do depending on without knowing what your processing is going to be. So international, we'll go here and go to localization. So this is where you can download local packs, and this is where we set the local units for your store. So weight, I don't want kilograms, I want pounds. Distance is in miles. The volume unit is going to be in gallons, and my dimension is going to be in inches. Okay, and then these are our default English language identifiers. Okay, and let's go ahead and make mil is a different, wrong abbreviation there. Okay. So you can download, if you're going to do other states, you can, or countries, you can say I want, the Australia pack, and it'll pull in all their states, all their information. You have default language, set language from browser. You can use the browser to determine what the language is of the country. Default country, where default United States is where I set this up. Default time zone is mountains. So that's all been set up based on the installation when you installed it. Okay, you can download those packs if you need it. Let's go over to languages. Right now, as you can tell, I only have English installed. You can download more currencies. Right now, just US dollars, and you can do an update exchange rate if you're doing multiple countries. And then geolocation, this is more advanced. You can restrict users based on their IP address, but you have to make sure that this is set up correctly or it's not going to work. Okay, you've got to do some code or upload some files. But it's say you know a lot of spam comes from certain countries, so you can come in here and restrict certain countries and not even allow them to access your website. Like they'll try to find it and it'll just block them. But again, you have to make sure it's set up correct. Okay, so now let's go over here to locations. This is where you have your countries, and you could turn different country enables on. Right now we just have United States. You can change the zones. So one thing I don't like about the default is North America actually includes Canada. So let's go click on North America here. Oops. That's not what I wanted. Edit. Oh, sorry, I'm doing this backwards. So let's go over here and pick zone. Sorry. North America. So here is all of the countries that default under the North American zone. So you notice we just set up shipping to North America. Well, you just set up shipping to Canada, Mexico, and the United States, but you notice they're turned off. So it's under that zone, but I have those turned off. So if you want to ship to Canada, you can turn it on, but it'll mess up your shipping. So what I like to do is, if you're going to ship to Canada, I create a separate zone and create a new zone and move Canada out of the North American zone and create Canada in its own zone. That's just me personally. When you're looking at zones, is well, what's in the Oceanic zone? What's in the Central America? It's just hard to know what's in each zone. And so you might want to go through and create your own zones and put the countries that you ship to. I'm not going to ship to these zones, so let's just go here and see if we can turn those off. And I'm only going to leave the North American zone on. And then you can also have different states. So I've obviously installed the United States, and so it imported all of the states here and then some of the outline information. But there's the localization. You can go through and create different zones and countries. Where that can take effect is mainly your shipping. So now we have tax. All these tax rates are enabled. Okay, so we have taxes and then we have tax rules. Okay, this can get really confusing. So the taxes are your tax rates. So you have all of these different taxes and tax rates by the states in the United States. Now, verify these because these are just generic. I mean, California, they have over, I think, like almost 8,000 different tax zones per se based on zip code. Because California, you have destination and you have origin taxing, and each state's different. Idaho is an origin-based tax, so wherever it ships from is where you charge the tax, assuming it ships to Idaho. If it ships out of Idaho, then we don't pay tax on it. But in California and some other, or not California, but other states, it's a destination. So they don't care where the product came from. You charge tax based on where it went. So if your state has multiple tax rates based on different different counties, you need to make sure to upload a file with all those different tax rates. Okay, so you can enable and disable tax. So if you're wholesale only, just turn it off and you don't have to worry about it. Display tax and shopping cart based on delivery address or invoice address. Again, that can make difference depending on your local laws. Check your local laws. And we don't use eco tax here in the United States. Okay, so these are the taxes. So if you have a county, so say California, I'll get a file of all of sorry about my phone. I'll get a file with all of California's tax rates and upload them, and it'll be sales tax, California, zip code, or whatever you want to do. Now a tax rule is can be a combination of taxes. So I'm actually going to come in here and I want to go and select all, and because we don't need all these tax rules. I don't exist in all of these states. I only exist in Idaho. So I'm going to come in here and I like just clearing these out. I don't want them. It just gets confusing. and I'm going to delete all of these and say yes, I want to delete those. Okay, and then I'm going to come in here and let's delete those too. Okay, so the only tax rule I want is U.S. Idaho tax rate. So let's go ahead and edit this, and you can see a little bit more what I'm talking about. So this is where you set up your tax. This is just the name, but say you exist in multiple states, and again, you're going to have to really dig into the tax laws, and it can get really confusing. But say you exist in Idaho and Utah. Well, then I might change this to just say sales tax instead of specific Idaho sales tax, and just say sales tax, and then I can come over here and add a new tax rule. So I'm going to say, well, if it's in United States, there we go, United States, and I'm in the state of Utah, I want all postal codes. I'm going to behavior this tax only or combine or one or another. I'm going to do this tax only. If I'm in, Utah, I want to charge the Utah tax rate. Okay, well, Utah actually has multiple tax rates, so even that wouldn't work. But anyways, it can get confusing. But we're going to pick Utah and say save. So now what happens, I'll just go ahead and save this. Okay, so now what happens is if they're in Idaho, I'm going to charge the Idaho sales tax. But if it's shipping to Utah, I'm going to charge the Utah sales tax. And so you can set multiple rules up, and it can get way complicated. I've had some times where it's got, on some stores, over 7,000 different tax rules here. And if you get that complicated, a lot of times it's nice just to contact the developer and upload it directly into the database. Save yourself a ton of hours. But for your average store, you might just have one, maybe two tax rates. And you can, hopefully you're an origin-based state and not a destination-based state. If you're destination, you got to upload all the tax zones in your state. But that for this store, that's all we need to make it easy and simple. And then we're going to go over here to translations. Okay. Now remember, this platform is actually French. It was developed and based in France, and so some of their native translations can be a little bit interesting. So sometimes you might want to go in there and change that. So if you have a theme translation, you could pick your theme. Right now I don't have an installed theme, so we're just using the classic theme and English, and then we can say modify. This will most likely fail, and I'll show you why, unless they've changed it in. And they've changed it. Okay. It used to fail because it had too many character inputs, and you had to actually go change the PHP settings in your server, and I have not actually changed this one, but they've updated it so you don't get those errors anymore, which is really nice. So now you can go through your modules, your shop, and say modules, shopping cart, and you can change the translations if they have something. This is default, this is what it will show, and if you want to change it, that's what you need to type in these boxes, and you can change those translations. We come in here, featured products, all products, our products. Typically you'll go find it. It'll be something specific that you're trying to fix, so you'll know kind of where to go. But you can change the translations without actually having to go in and edit code. You can come in here and say, well, I don't want it to say that, I want it to say something else. And then you can edit it and then, save it here and you're good to go. So that's the translation files. Most of the time you don't have to do a whole lot, but that's where you can go change translations. Or if you want to put, some more information. Customers who bought this product also bought, you might want to say, customers who purchased this product also were interested in this and these products. Yeah, so you can go through and change, some of the wording there without having to edit actual code on your website. Okay, I'm not actually going to save that, but that's just going to illustrate what you can do with the translation. And they've made this actually a lot user friendly. I haven't played with this since they've updated it, but that used to be a problem with you had to change your code on your server to get this to work. But that's pretty much setting up your store in terms of just your shipping payment and then your translations. You can get into design and then additional modules, and we'll do a different video for that.